Alright, you guys, it's Mashiach Ben Joseph here again. A little while ago, Papa Yahweh asked me to explain Isaiah 11 to you and what it reads like when you undo some of the damages caused by the devil and his goons. Alright? And basically what you got to remember is that the devil and his goons corrupted the ancient stories. And basically you can look to Genesis 3 to understand. All right, because Genesis 3 is the first lesson of the Bible, which is basically that there is a devil. He does try to corrupt humanity and turn them against God and portray God as evil and stuff like that, and as a liar and stuff like that. And so he tries to twist and turn God's words, portray him as a liar, as an evil liar, and then the people that he corrupts corrupt people as well. Like he corrupted Eve, and then Eve corrupted Adam, and so on through the generations. All right, so that's what you got to remember. Now, one thing about the book of Isaiah is that Lord almost always equals devil. 99% of the time. That's what Yahweh told me. And he also plays with opposite directions and locations and stuff like that to just scramble up everything and just ruin it. All right? So here we go. Rather than write out all of this twice and read both of them, I just changed some of these things up here, corrected them, and then I'll give a brief explanation of the verses as we go. All right, so 11:1. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. All right, that describes how the father, the stem of Jesse, will have an epiphany and start trying to guide everyone. All right, because he gets a rod comes out of the father of Jesse, and a branch grows out of his mind, his roots. So he has like an epiphany. All right. And the Spirit of God, not the Lord, shall rest upon him. The Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of disgust of the devil, not fear of the Lord. All right? And that basically is the Spirit of God will go to him after his epiphany and start teaching him. All right? And he shall make him of quick understanding in the existence in ways of the devil. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither criticize after the hearing of his ears. So basically he learns of the devil and how he's corrupting humanity, so does not judge them all solely on appearances and their words. All right? All right. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and criticism with fairness for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. So with equity he will judge humanity, and with his new knowledge of good and evil he will smite and crush them all. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf shall also dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like an ox. And the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's hole, den. Okay, now that, like other chapters, describes the time when good and evil unite and everyone becomes evil. The time when everyone is so pacified that even a child could guide them. All right? They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the devil as the waters cover the sea. And that basically means the holy mountain will be desecrated with evil's presence, because the world will be saturated with the ideologies of the devil. And in that day there shall be the root of Jesse, which shall stand as an example to the people. To him shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. That's again mentioning that in the time of all evil, the father of Jesse will be used as an example of how humanity should be, and everywhere he lays his feet will be glorious like Holy Land. And it shall come to pass in that day that the devil shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from blah, 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 blah. And he shall set up an example for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So basically what that says is that after Yahweh and the father of Jesse, the Messiah, is used as an example to guide people away from evil back to Yahweh, the devil will try again to gather the people after they go back to Yahweh and his Messiah by creating his own example, which is the Mashiach ben David. And because all of that Mashiach, Yahweh told me before that the Mashiach ben David crap is all just a fabrication of the devil to try to keep an evil people in power, which is Judah, the tribe of Judah. You know, like in Genesis 49, I think it describes Judah as always going after prey and stuff like that and strangling them with his hand and whatever. No? All right. So here we go. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. So the line of Ephraim Joseph will learn their place with God and see the fall of Judah, then stop envying them, and Judah will stop bothering them. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines towards the east. They shall spoil them of the west. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. And God shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Dead Sea, not the Egyptian sea. And with his mighty wind he shall shake his hand over the Jordan River, not the river, and shall smite it in the seven streams, and make men go over dry shod. And there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like it was to Israel in the day that he came out of the land of Egypt. All right, so that basically means the line of Ephraim or Joseph will leave to the east, and behind them God shall destroy the tongues of those behind, which means leaving them speechless, and then they will head north into Syria and beyond. So they leave the west and go east, and then cut up and start going north into Syria and beyond. So they're going to go east, northeast, basically. All right. And that's the end of Isaiah 11. Now what I'm going to show you is what I showed you before in episode 48 and 666 versus Yeshua, is that my identity is actually that of God, there's basically two gods and two Isaiahs in all this, and I'll explain it in a second. But basically my title as God means as the most good, which is what God talks about in Isaiah 52 and 53, saying that he will be exalted extremely high, which is basically meaning he's given the title of God. So you take this statement, CBB, my birthday, 666 is the real God, and you could actually convert it to numbers and throw in some symbols, and throw in some mathematical operators, and it becomes an equation. All right? And then there's also this equation here, which is I, God, and then my initials and birth date equal 21,998I, which is the initial of Isaiah. And my son is born 21 September 98. So basically I, God, and then the branch or the stem of Isaiah. All All right, and Jesse is, I don't know how to pronounce that in Latin, is like that, which is an abbreviation of English, Isaiah. So basically, when they say the stem of Jesse, they're basically saying the father of Isaiah, which is me and my son Isaiah. And like I was saying, there's like two gods and two Isaiahs, is that's part of design, is that everyone refers to Yahweh as God, and Isaiah is his prophet. So you have God and Isaiah. And then here in modern times with this prophecy, you get God, me, and then my son Isaiah. So God and Isaiah and God and Isaiah. It's just a coincidence of design, but it's not a coincidence, it's an intentional coincidence of design. But anyway, so there you go. That's all Papa Yahweh asked me to show you, and I'll put a link to these two videos below in the description so you can see more about how my identity is encoded into the language as God in Isaiah 53 and stuff like that. So there you go.